Hello, welcome again to a reading through of Iliad 16, and I got up to line 676. Horsephat, and thus he spoke. Now this is referring here to Zeus giving commands to Apollo to go and rescue the body of Sarpedon. Nor, as you might expect, the arrow here, probably best not to translate it, but that's the sense of it here, of course. Apollo, nor did he, this is from unacoustio. It literally means being unwilling to hear, and hence disobey. I think it's only here in Homer, and it's otherwise fairly rare, but the etymology is obvious here with alpha privative and then acoustio. So nor did Apollo fail to hear, or perhaps disobey, or nor was he unwilling to hear his father, but he went down the Idaean mountains, or the mountains of Ida, into the Aina, into the terrible Phul-Opin battle. Autika, and immediately Ares, having lifted up, having taken up glorious Sarpedon, ek baleon, as I mentioned last time, we had that expression earlier. It means something like to take him out of range of the missiles, because they were stabbing the body with spears and swords and so on. So he takes him away from these weapons, these missiles. Now the next few lines are an exact copy. I just moved down a bit here. These are an exact copy of the lines up the top here from 669 onwards, with one word changed. I think it's the thesis gets changed to make the context fit. So this often happens in Homer. You get repetition. So and so says, go and do this, 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 and this, and they go and do it, and then you get this, 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 and this again. So he takes him away from the range of the missiles. Pollen apropos, so carrying him very far away, he bathed him in the streams of the river. He anointed him with ambrosia, and he placed divine or ambrosial, divine garments around him. I mentioned before hese from henumi, and this is hema, which is cognate with the verb henumi. And he sent him to be carried at the same time as swift escorts, the twins, Sleep and Death, who quickly, Ra again accordingly. Now this is the only difference here. Instead of they will place him, now it's kat thesan. They placed him in the rich land of broad Lycia. So just repetition there. But Patroklos, Keleusis, having given orders, literally to the horses, probably to the horsemen, but literally the horses and automedon, metakiathe, a common verb in Homer, from meaning to go after. So he went after the Trojans and the Lycians. Kai meg aste nepios. This is beautiful, very clever Homer here. The aaste is from the verb aao, which means to hurt or damage. This is the aorist passive here. It's used figuratively in Homer of the mind, so the mind being damaged. In other words, he was misled. So he was greatly misled, or greatly blinded, as some translators take it. In other words, mentally blinded. And the mega here is adverbial. And then Homer just lands the napios at the beginning of the next line for emphasis, the fool. It's a lovely word, often used to describe a young infant, In fact, well, the terms of meaning, it's the same as infant from Latin, but so he was greatly misled, Napios the fool. But if Phulaxen from Phulasso, if he had guarded, in the modern sense, the word of the son of Peleus, in other words, if he had taken seriously almost, if he'd kept in mind the word of the advice of the son of Peleus, surely, now we get an an, he would have fled out from under. We get hupo plus ek plus fugo. In other words, he would have escaped the terrible fate of Black Death from Melas, Melina, Milan. But, well, I love this, is a wonderful line here. The mind of Zeus is greater than, very much than, that of men. The te is generalizing te here. So the mind of Zeus is very much greater than that of men. Hos, this is again is Zeus, who drives in fear, phobio. Now, phobio means to fear in later Greek, but in Homer it's more of the sense of he drives in fear, drives in rout. Even, the chi here is very useful, even a valiant man, and aphaletot from aphyrio, he easily takes away Nicaine, victory, when he himself might stir them up, Makesthai, to fight. Hos hoi kaitoti thumon eni thethesin anaken, and he placed, I should say, at that time also, thumos here, I think in the sense of anger hoi for him in his breast. So he's, perhaps the thumos could mean anger here. It could have the sense of energy or something. So he placed at that time, I think generally anger in his breast for him. Impetus is what I was thinking of here, but probably anger's fine. Nth the tina proton, tina dehustaton, ex enarixas. Now, here again, we've had this just once before, I think, in this book, where the poet actually comes into and asks a rhetorical question. It's almost as though Homer is entering into the story here. So he asks him a rhetorical question. You do get this in Homer from time to time. Homer uses it sparingly, but then very effectively. And you know that this is a climax coming. So, who was the first one, and who was the last one that you killed, O Patroklos? This is another form of the vocative. You often get es for the vocative, and now it's contracted here to ace. You can get Patrokle as well. You get lots of different forms of this, but this is a vocative. So who was the first and who was the last that you slew, O Patroklos, when the gods called you to death? Thanaton plus the old de ending. Firstly, it was Adrastus, a good name to choose here, because Adrastus means the one who cannot run away. It's alpha privative plus this dra root of running away. So firstly it was Adrastus and Ortanus and Ekeklos and Perimos, the son of Megas, and Epistora and Melanippus. But afterwards there was, or then there was Elison and Mulion and Pulates, the ones whom Helen, for Helen, he killed. the ones whom he killed. So they were the ones he killed. Helen for Hyrio. We've seen that many times in the sense of to kill, sort of to take, literally. And the others, each one of them, so it's good use of hekastos here. We get a plural verb, and then you get this hekastos singular. So the others, menoontai must be from menaamai. So the others gave thought to flight. Hekastos, each one of them. Beautiful line. Entha ken. Now notice this lovely, Homer does this a lot. Something would have happened except that. So there, the sons of the Achaeans would have taken, now here is helon from Hyrio in the sense of to take rather than kill. So there the sons of the Achaeans would have taken high-gated Troy under the hands of Patroklos. Periprogar eke thuen, for he raged. Peripro, something like ever forward. So he raged ever forward, or before them with his spear. This is from thuo to rage. There's various thuos. There's one of raging, there's one of sacrificing. This is a different verb. So he raged very much before them with his spear. And so in other words, they would have taken Troy, except that Phoebus Apollo stood upon the well-built, U plus the demo root, the well-built tower, literally thinking destructive things for him, defending Eragon, helping, participle here from Erago, defending the Trojans, takes a dative. So he would have done that, defending the Trojans. Now we get a men and a de here, so we get tris men and tris de. So 3 times he stood, now this is Patroklos, so 3 times Patroklos stood on the ancone. This is the corner, I think, the corner of the wall. So 3 times he stood at the corner of the wall, and 3 times Apollo, apos stuphelixen, from apos stuphelisto, it means to drive away by force. So 3 times Apollo drove him away by force. Nuson, stabbing at, literally, his shining shield with his immortal hands. But when, in fact, on the fourth occasion, he, like to a daimon, he, like to a divine being, if you will, episuter, from episuo, epsilon, upsilon, we've had that before. He, the 4th time, like to a divine spirit, he rushed against him. Homoklases, calling out, yelling out, Dana, terrible things, or possibly adverb, yelling out terribly, and addressed him with winged words. So this is, well, it's like to a god, because rather perhaps spirit here, because it is Apollo saying this, I think. Kadzio, from Kazdamai, so withdraw, imperative. Patroklos, descended from Zeus. Nu toi, not indeed, understand, is it fated for you, is it fated? So not indeed, I think we take the nu with the toy, so not indeed, in no way is it fated, understand, for the city of the Trojans, who are agorokon, lordly Trojans, I think this is generally translated. Not sure the etymology is that secure for this. Lordly Trojans, Perthai. This is from Pertho. It's a form of the aorist passive infinitive. So to be sacked by your spear. So withdraw, Patroklos, descended from Zeus. It is not fate. So it is not fated, we'd say. It is not the fate for the city of the lordly Trojans to be sacked by your spear, nor by that of Achilles, who, understand, is very much better, this is Seo for Su, than you. The hosper, in later Greek this would have gone into one word, the very one who is much better than you. Hos Vato, and thus he spoke. Patroklos de, but Patroklos an ekazdatai, now this is just an ana plus the kadzamai, because he was told to withdraw. This is just another word meaning to withdraw. So he withdrew pollen opiso, so very far back, aluamenos, avoiding from aluamai, so having avoided, it's a participle, so it's a participle here, having avoided, the sigma's dropped out I think, the anger, the manis, interesting word to use here, the anger, the manis of far-shooting Apollo. And that is the next part of Book 16.